Well, just a little more than half an hour to go before the opening bell on Wall Street. Investors are looking ahead to this afternoon's Fed decision and then probably more importantly, the meeting that comes after that. I want to bring in Kari Firestone. She's executive chairman and co-founder of Aureus Asset Management, also a CNBC contributor. And Kari, let's set this up. What are you expecting from the Fed? What might happen in the markets?
Well, the Fed is unlikely to do anything today, we believe. And Becky, nice to see you. We've had a reasonable year already. The S&P is up over 8%. Tech, of course, has led. The market expects there to be cuts this year, so we need the Fed to sound as if they're going to do something about that. It doesn't have to be at this meeting.
Let's talk a little bit. We've talked so much about the Fed today. I'd like to talk about an article, a column that you had up on CNBC Pro. That's for Nvidia, whether or not that stock can continue the parabolic gains. You took a look back at history. What did it tell you?
Yeah, so we looked at 20 years of S&P 500 history. We looked at all stocks that had gone up 200% or more in any one year to see what happened to the stock in the following year. Because anyone who is buying Nvidia now must understand that it's up 80% so far this year. It's up 2,000% over the last 5 years, 250% over the last 2, you pick your time frame, big numbers. So what does it take for it to go up again? And the numbers were interesting. About half of the names went up and half of the names went down in the next year, in the following year to that 200+%. And less than half outperformed the market. 43% outperformed the market. And the ones that did had the biggest earnings growth. Average of over 80%. So that means Nvidia, if it's going to be on average, would have to grow its earnings 80% this year. We know, or we expect, that the numbers will be up 100%. It's supposed to grow from $12 to about $24 in this fiscal year. But does the market believe that is that in the stock? Does Nvidia need to grow its earnings more than 100%? And that's really what we think the market should be focusing on. How much can those earnings grow in the next 12 months to maintain this stock to outperform the market? Of course, it could go down 30% from here. And if the market is flat, Nvidia would still outperform because it's up so much versus the 8% of the S&P.
You sound a little skeptical. We're almost out of time, but am I right to interpret it that way?
Well, I think you have to question whenever a stock has this kind of surge, and option buying is so much of it. It's not that it isn't a great company. We think it's fantastic technology, but these kind of moves have to end at some point.